The inheritance. The Defiance drifted at the edge of Starbase Epsilon's maintenance dock, a forgotten relic from a bygone era. Its hull, once gleaming with the proud insignia of the Galactic Council, now bore the scars of neglect, patches of corrosion spreading like a disease across its surface, outdated weapon mounts hanging empty like toothless gums. In the harsh light of the nearby star, it looked more like a derelict than an active military vessel. Captain Maya Chen stood silently in the observation deck, her dark eyes fixed on what was to be her first command. Behind her, High Counselor Vrex made a sound that his translator rendered as a condescending chuckle. "The Defiance is yours, Captain Chen," Vrex said, his forearms making dismissive gestures. "The Council has determined it's appropriate for humanity's first independent command." Maya kept her expression neutral, years of diplomatic service having taught her when silence was the most powerful response. She understood what this was, not an opportunity, but an insult wrapped in bureaucratic procedure. After 15 years of humanity's participation in the Galactic Council, they were still treated as children playing at being spacefaring adults. "We're grateful for the Council's generosity," she finally said, turning to face the 8-foot-tall arthropoid. "The Defiance will serve humanity well." "I'm sure it will," Vrex replied, mandibles clicking in what passed for amusement among his kind. "Though I'd suggest keeping to the outer territories. The ship's life support systems are rated for another decade, perhaps." "Barely." After Vrex departed, Maya remained on the observation deck, studying the cast-off ship that humanity had been granted. Where the Council saw obsolescence, she saw possibility. Where they expected failure, she anticipated transformation. "What do you think, Captain?" asked Commander Eli Reeves, her newly appointed executive officer, as he joined her at the viewport. "I think," Maya said slowly, a smile forming on her lips, "that the Council has made a grave miscalculation. They've given us exactly what we needed. A ship without oversight, without monitoring systems, without restrictions. They've given us garbage," Eli said bluntly. "They've given us freedom," Maya corrected. "And they have no idea what humans can do with that." 3 days later, Maya stood in the Defiance's cavernous main hangar, addressing the 50 humans who would form her crew. They were an eclectic group. Many passed over for promotion in the integrated Council fleets, others with disciplinary marks for excessive initiative or regulatory noncompliance. In Council parlance, these were euphemisms for the human tendency to find unconventional solutions. "They expect us to fail," Maya told them, her voice echoing in the hangar. "They've given us the weakest ship in the fleet and assigned us to patrol the most remote sector of Council space. They think we'll be begging for reassignment within a month." Murmurs of discontent rippled through the assembled crew. "But here's what they don't understand," Maya continued, her voice hardening. "Humans have always done our best work when we're underestimated, when we're backed into a corner, when we're given scraps and told to make do." She gestured to the ship around them. "The Defiance isn't a punishment. It's an opportunity." Dr. Amara Okafor, the ship's chief science officer, stepped forward. "An opportunity for what, exactly, Captain?" Maya smiled. "To rebuild it. Our way." She activated a holographic display showing detailed schematics of the Defiance, not as it was, but as it could be. The crew gathered closer, expressions changing from skepticism to intrigue as they studied the plans. "These modifications would violate at least 30 Council regulations," said Lieutenant Commander Hiroshi Takeda, the engineering chief, though his eyes shone with excitement. 37, by my count," Maya confirmed, "but only if they knew about them." Chief Weapons Officer Darius Jackson let out a low whistle as he examined the weapons systems Maya was proposing. "This isn't in any standard configuration I've ever seen." "That's because it's not standard," Maya said. "It's human, modified, improved, and adapted to this ship's unique frame. The power requirements alone would," began Takeda, "will be met by the experimental fusion system you've been developing in your personal time. Hiroshi, Maya finished for him. The one the council deemed unnecessarily innovative and refused to fund. Takeda's eyes widened. How did you? I selected each of you, Maya said, looking around at her crew, because the council has overlooked your talents, called your ideas too dangerous, too unpredictable, too human. She closed the holographic display. I'm not asking you to follow council protocols. I'm asking you to show the galaxy what humanity can really do. One by one, the doubt in her crew's eyes was replaced with determination. They had all felt the sting of being underestimated, of having their ideas dismissed. Now someone was asking them not just to think outside the box, but to redesign it entirely. How long do we have? Asked Dr. Okafor. 6 months before our first official patrol, Maya answered. 6 months to transform the Defiance into something the galaxy has never seen before. She looked at each of them in turn. Are you with me? The response was unanimous. From the Starbase's central administrative tower, a group of council officials observed the flurry of activity around the Defiance. Shuttles moved back and forth, delivering supplies and equipment. Work crews swarmed over the hull, seemingly making basic repairs. What are they doing? Asked a junior official, antennae twitching curiously. Senior Administrator Krell, a veteran bureaucrat with mottled gray scales and decades of experience managing various species, laughed dismissively. Trying to polish a meteor. The humans think they can make that obsolete cruiser serviceable. Should we monitor their activities more closely? Inquired another official. Why waste the resources? Krell responded. They're following standard refit procedures. Besides, what could they possibly accomplish with that ancient technology? He turned away from the viewport. Place your bets now, everyone. I give them 2 months before they request reassignment to a proper ship. The officials laughed and began calling out their predictions, none giving the humans more than 6 weeks. Inside the Defiance, Maya heard about these betting pools from her intelligence officer. She shared a knowing look with Takeda, who was setting up his engineering station. They're betting against us, Takeda said quietly. Maya nodded, her jaw set with determination. They always do. Their mistake, Takeda replied with a grin. For the next 6 months, it would be just them and the ship. 6 months to prove that humans weren't the weakest link in the galactic community. 6 months to transform the Defiance into something that would change the course of history. The months passed in a blur of activity. From the outside, the Defiance still looked much the same, an aging cruiser with minimal cosmetic improvements. But inside, it was becoming something else entirely. Captain Chen stood in what used to be the main engine room, watching as Takeda connected glowing blue conduits to a spherical device suspended in a containment field. The device pulsed with energy, casting eerie shadows. Is it stable? Maya asked, keeping her distance as instructed. Takeda wiped sweat from his forehead and nodded. As stable as something like this can be. It's definitely not in the Council engineering manual. Will it pass the inspection next week? Takeda laughed. Only if the inspector doesn't know what they're looking for. I've added some false readings that will make it look like a standard fusion reactor with minor human modifications. Nothing that would raise alarms. Maya nodded, relieved. Good. Keep it that way. She left Takeda to his work and moved toward the weapons bay. The corridors of the Defiance were a maze of exposed wiring and new panels installed over old ones. Crew members passed by carrying equipment that would have raised serious questions at any council facility. Maya had made sure all their unusual requisitions were spread across different supply orders and came through various channels. So far, no one had noticed the pattern. She found Jackson in the weapons bay, surrounded by disassembled parts from what used to be the ship's main defense systems. The standard particle cannons had been removed, replaced by what looked like much smaller, seemingly weaker weapons. How's it coming? Maya asked. Jackson looked up from his work, a rare smile on his face. Better than expected. The new targeting system is twice as accurate as the Council standard, and the power consumption is minimal. And the special project? His smile disappeared, replaced by a serious expression. In progress. Dr. Okafor's calculations were correct. It's possible, but we're in uncharted territory. If anyone finds out what we're really building here, they won't, Maya assured him. Remember compartmentalization. Each of you knows only your piece of the puzzle. Jackson nodded and returned to his work. Next, Maya visited the navigation center, where Lieutenant Sophia Diaz was testing a new control system. Her fingers flew over the holographic display as she ran simulations. How fast can she go? Maya asked, watching as virtual stars streaked by on the screen. Officially. Diaz grinned. Council standard for a ship of this class. She pressed a sequence of buttons, and the simulation showed the Defiance performing a maneuver that should have torn any conventional ship apart. Unofficially. Let's just say we'll surprise them. Good work, Maya said, patting Diaz on the shoulder. Keep the visible modifications minimal. Save the surprises for when we need them. The final stop was the large cargo bay that had been converted into Dr. Okafor's laboratory. Access was restricted to Okafor and Maya alone. Even among her trusted crew, what happened in this room was known to only a few. Okafor didn't look up when Maya entered. She was focused on a complex holographic model floating above her workstation, a swirling pattern of energy that folded in on itself in impossible ways. Progress? Maya asked quietly. It's working, Okafor said, eyes still fixed on the model. The equations balance. In theory, we can collapse the field in a controlled manner, creating exactly the effect we want. She finally looked at Maya, her eyes showing both excitement and apprehension. But if we're wrong, if the calculations are off even slightly. I know the risks, Maya said. We all do. Okafor nodded slowly. The council would never approve this. They'd shut us down in a heartbeat if they knew. That's why they don't know and won't know until it's too late to stop us. Maya studied the swirling model. How long until it's ready? The control systems will be in place before the inspection. The actual mechanism won't be activated until we need it. Are you sure about this, Captain? Okafor asked. Once we go down this road. Maya's expression hardened. The Vraxian Empire isn't giving us a choice. You've seen the intelligence reports. Their fleets are pushing closer to human colonies every day. The Council's conventional approaches aren't enough. And if the Council orders us not to use it, then we'll face that problem when it comes. The Reckoning. 1 week later, Inspector Zirax, a tall, slender alien with iridescent skin, walked through the Defiance with a data pad in his four-fingered hand. Captain Chen led the tour, explaining the minor modifications they had made to adapt the ship to human use. Your power readings seem unusually efficient for a ship this age, Zirax noted, studying his data pad with suspicion. Engineer Takeda has a talent for optimizing systems, Maya explained smoothly. It's a human specialty, making more with less. Zirax made a note and continued. And these weapon systems, they're significantly reduced from the original specifications. We found the original systems outdated and power-hungry, Maya said. Our modifications are more efficient, if less impressive in raw power. The inspector looked unconvinced, but continued the tour. At each stop, he found things that didn't quite match Council standards, yet nothing that violated regulations severely enough to warrant intervention. At the end of the inspection, Zirax stood at the airlock, clearly frustrated. I don't understand what you humans are doing with this ship, he admitted. You've reduced its offensive capabilities, rerouted power systems in unorthodox ways, and modified the navigation controls using methods our engineers would never approve. Yet technically, you've stayed within regulations. He sighed, a whistling sound through his breathing slits. I'm approving your modifications, but under protest. Maya kept her expression neutral as she accepted the approved data pad. Thank you, Inspector. We appreciate your thoroughness. After Zirax left, Maya found her senior officers waiting on the bridge. We passed, she announced, and a cheer went up among the crew. Did he suspect anything? Okafor asked quietly. He knew something was strange, but couldn't put his finger on what, Maya replied. The important thing is we're clear for deployment next week. Takeda raised an eyebrow. And then, Maya said, we show the galaxy what the weakest ship in the fleet can really do. The crew exchanged glances, part excitement, part apprehension. They had transformed a forgotten relic into something unprecedented, a vessel that looked harmless on the outside but contained power that could change the course of the coming conflict. Now they just needed the chance to prove it. That chance would come sooner than any of them expected. The Defiance drifted at the edge of the Perseus system, running what Captain Chen officially called standard patrol operations. For 3 weeks they had been pushing the ship to its limits far from curious eyes. Each test proved what the crew already knew. This was no longer the weakest ship in the fleet. It was something else entirely. Maya sat in the captain's chair, reviewing the latest test results on her screen, when the emergency alert sounded. A message flashed across her display. Priority 1 communication. Put it through, she ordered. The main screen flickered to life, showing the distressed face of a colonial administrator. Behind him, people rushed back and forth against a background of flashing red lights. This is Administrator Patel of New Haven Colony, calling any council ships in range. The man said, his voice strained. We are under attack by Vraxian forces. 3 warships have entered orbit. Our defenses cannot hold. Requesting immediate assistance. Maya leaned forward. This is Captain Chen of the Council Cruiser Defiance. We're at the edge of your system. What's your situation? The administrator's face showed momentary relief, then concern as he registered which ship had responded. Captain, we have over 8,000 colonists here. The Vraxians came without warning. Our orbital defenses are already down, ground shields at 40% and falling. He hesitated. Your vessel is a light cruiser, correct? We'll handle it, Maya said firmly. Begin evacuation procedures. Use whatever ships you have to get people to the emergency bunkers. We'll engage the Vraxians and buy you time. The administrator looked doubtful, but nodded. Understood, Captain. And thank you. When the communication ended, Maya turned to her bridge crew. Battle stations. As alarm bells rang throughout the ship, Reeves spoke up from the tactical station. Captain, we have standing orders to remain at our patrol coordinates. Council Command will. Council Command is 12 hours away at best. Maya cut him off. New Haven will be gone by then. She turned to Diaz at navigation. Set course for New Haven. Maximum speed. Diaz's fingers flew over the controls. Course set at standard cruising speed. We'll arrive in 63 minutes. We're not using standard speed, Maya said. Activate the phase drive. A hush fell over the bridge. They had tested the experimental drive at 1/4 power, but never at full capacity. Captain, Takeda said from the engineering station, the drive hasn't been fully tested. The stress on the hull cold. We don't have a choice, Maya said. Those colonists don't have 63 minutes. She looked around at her crew. This is what we built this ship for. This is our moment. After a moment, Takeda nodded. Aye, Captain. Phase drive preparing for full power. All hands, secure for high-speed maneuvers. This might get rough, Maya announced over the ship-wide system. The Defiance hummed as energy built up in its modified engines. On the outside, the ship still looked like an aging cruiser, but inside, power levels rose far beyond what should have been possible for a vessel its size. Phase drive ready, Takeda reported. Engage, Maya ordered. The stars outside stretched into lines as the Defiance leaped forward at impossible speed. The hull creaked and groaned under the strain but held together. In just under 11 minutes, they dropped out of phase drive near New Haven, the blue-green planet filling their view screen. 3 black, spike-shaped Vraxian warships hung in orbit, firing energy beams at the colony's weakening shields below. They haven't spotted us yet, Jackson reported from weapons. Their sensors are focused planet-side. Power signature minimal, Okafor added. We look like background radiation to them. Maya leaned forward in her chair. Jackson, target the lead ship's main weapon array. Minimal power, maximum precision. Targeted, Jackson confirmed. But Captain, at minimal power, we'll barely scratch their armor. Maya smiled. We're not trying to destroy them yet. Just get their attention. The Defiance fired a single narrow beam that struck the lead Vraxian ship precisely where its main weapon connected to the power core. The effect was immediate. The enemy vessel's energy weapons flickered and died, and it began to turn slowly in space, searching for its attacker. They've spotted us, Diaz reported. All 3 ships are changing course. Weapons locking on. Evasive maneuvers, Maya ordered. Pattern Omega. The Defiance moved with a speed and agility that defied its appearance, dancing between enemy fire as the Vraxian ships gave chase. Each time they fired, the human vessel seemed to shift slightly out of phase, becoming ghostly and transparent for brief moments. Jackson, target the second ship's propulsion system, Maya commanded. Half power this time. The beam that shot from the Defiance was stronger, cutting through the Vraxian ship's rear shields and striking its engines. The enemy vessel spun out of control, its propulsion systems flaring wildly before shutting down. The third and largest Vraxian ship launched a swarm of fighter craft. 20 fighters incoming, Diaz warned. They're trying to surround us. Dr. Okafor, Maya called, time to test your defense system. Okafor nodded and activated a sequence on her console. The Defiance pulsed with energy, and a barely visible field expanded outward from the ship. As the fighters entered the field, their systems failed. They drifted helplessly, weapons and engines dead. The bridge crew watched in amazement. The system had worked perfectly in simulations, but seeing it in action against real enemies was something else entirely. The colony report's evacuation is 40% complete, Reeves reported. They need more time. The lead Vraxian warship had repaired its weapons and was now firing a continuous energy beam at the Defiance. The ship shuddered as the beam struck its shields. Shields holding at 70%, Okafor reported, but they're adapting to our frequency. Maya gripped the arms of her chair. Takeda, give me 80% on the phase drive. Diaz, take us into attack pattern Delta. The Defiance surged forward, then seemingly blinked out of existence. The Vraxian ships fired at where it had been, hitting nothing. Seconds later, the human vessel reappeared behind the lead warship. Fire all weapons, maximum power, Maya ordered. The Defiance's weapons, which had appeared so minimal to Inspector Zurax, now revealed their true nature. Concentrated beams of energy struck the Vraxian ship at precise points, bypassing shields to hit vulnerable systems. The enemy vessel convulsed as critical systems failed in cascade. One down, Jackson reported as the Vraxian ship's lights went dark. The disabled ship is retreating. The third is still active and calling for reinforcements. How long on the evacuation? Maya asked. Another 30 minutes to get the remaining colonists to safety, Reeves replied. Maya nodded. Then we give them 30 minutes. She opened a channel to the colony. New Haven, this is Captain Chen. Continue your evacuation. We'll hold them off. As the Defiance engaged the final Vraxian warship, Council sensors 10 light-years away detected the battle. In the Galactic Council's Central Command, Admiral Vrex watched in disbelief as the ship he had dismissed as junk somehow held its own against superior forces. Impossible, he muttered. What have those humans done? On the Defiance's bridge, warning lights flashed as the ship took heavy fire from the remaining Vraxian warship. Shields at 40%. Okafor reported. We can't take much more of this. Evacuation status, Maya demanded. 85% complete, Reeves answered. Just a few more minutes. The ship rocked violently as another blast struck them. Takeda, status of the primary system. Maya asked, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. "Online but untested," Takeda replied. "If we activate it now." "We don't have a choice," Maya said. "Dr. Okafor, prepare the singularity drive." Okafor's eyes widened. "Captain, we haven't finished all the simulations. The theoretical model subjust. Theory becomes practice today." Maya cut her off. "The colonists are almost safe. We need to end this now." After a moment's hesitation, Okafor nodded and began the activation sequence. Deep within the ship, the spherical device that Takeda had installed began to spin, energy building within it. "Singularity drive powering up," Okafor reported. 10 seconds to critical threshold. Maya opened a ship-wide channel. "All hands, this is the captain. Secure for extreme gravitational distortion. This is not a drill." The Defiance shuddered as the device reached full power. "Target locked," Jackson confirmed. "Awaiting your command." Maya took a deep breath. "Fire." For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then space itself seemed to bend around the Vraxian warship. Light warped and stretched as a microscopic black hole formed precisely at the center of the enemy vessel. The Vraxian ship imploded, collapsing inward with terrifying speed before vanishing entirely, leaving nothing but scattered debris. The bridge crew stared in stunned silence. Singularity collapsed as designed. Okafor finally reported, her voice barely above a whisper. The gravitational wave was contained within the target radius. "Evacuation complete," Reeves added. "All colonists safely in the bunkers." Maya nodded, the weight of what they had just done settling on her shoulders. "Take us out of orbit, standard speed. Set course back to our patrol route." As the Defiance moved away from New Haven, Maya knew that everything had changed. They had revealed capabilities that the Council had never imagined, used technology that would be considered dangerously advanced by most civilized species. There would be consequences, but they had saved thousands of lives, and they had shown the galaxy that humans were not to be underestimated. 3 days later, the Defiance docked at Starbase Epsilon. A delegation of high-ranking Council officials waited to board, led by Admiral Vrex himself. His mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation. Maya stood at the airlock, her senior officers behind her, as the Council delegation entered. "Captain Chen," Vrex began, his voice tight with controlled fury, "you have violated at least 73 Council regulations. You deployed unauthorized weapons technology. You engaged enemy forces without explicit permission. I saved a human colony from destruction," Maya interrupted calmly, "using a ship that the Council considered worthless. The technology you used is far beyond what should be possible with this vessel," another official said. "You've clearly been conducting illegal weapons research." "No," Maya corrected. "We've been conducting human weapons research. There's a difference." Vrex's compound eyes narrowed. "The Council will decide your fate, Captain. But your actions have jeopardized delicate diplomatic balances. The Vraxians are demanding explanations. They lost an entire warship to whatever weapon you deployed. The singularity drive," Maya supplied. "And yes, we have more." A shocked silence fell over the delegation. "More," Vrex finally managed. "The Defiance isn't unique," Maya said. "It's just the first. While you've been dismissing humans as the weakest link in the Council, we've been preparing. Every human colony has similar technology now, hidden beneath seemingly outdated exteriors." It wasn't entirely true, not yet, but the bluff had the desired effect. Vrex took an involuntary step back. "The Council gave us the weakest ship in the fleet," Maya continued, "thinking we would fail. Instead, we turned it into something new. Something powerful, something human." Later that day, as news of the battle spread throughout Council space, the betting pools at Starbase Epsilon fell silent. No one was wagering against the humans anymore. In the Council chambers, emergency sessions were called. New treaties were drafted. And throughout the galaxy, Species that had long dismissed humanity began to look at them with new eyes, some with respect, others with fear. The Defiance remained docked at the station, looking much as it always had, an aging cruiser with minimal cosmetic improvements. But now, everyone knew that appearances could be deceiving. Inside her quarters, Maya reviewed the latest communication from Earth Command. Their approach had been approved retroactively. More ships would be modified. Humanity's position within the Council would be renegotiated from a position of strength rather than supplication. They had gambled everything on the belief that humans could transform the weakest ship in the fleet into something extraordinary. And they had won. Maya looked out her viewport at the stars beyond. The galaxy was about to learn an important lesson about humanity. Never judge them by appearances, never underestimate their potential, and never, ever bet against them when their backs are against the wall. Because humans had always done their best work when they were underestimated, when they were backed into a corner, when they were given scraps and told to make do. The Defiance was proof of that. And it was just the beginning.